It's good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Choy. The two Koreas resumed their high-level talks in an effort to diffuse tensions on the peninsula, but no word as of yet on the outcome of the meetings. We now connect to our presidential office correspondent, Choi You-sun. You-sun?
Daniel, South Korea's National Security Advisor Kim Kwan-jin and Unification Minister Yong-pyo returned to the negotiating table with North Korea at the truce village of Panmunjom roughly 6.5 hours ago at 3:30 p.m. Seoul time. While we still don't know much about what's being discussed at the meeting, it's being also attended by North Korea's top military official Hwang Pyong-so and ruling party secretary Kim Yang-gon. The officials here in Seoul have been tight-lipped about what was discussed at the meeting yesterday, a day before, as any unconfirmed information leak could have a negative impact on the ongoing negotiations. The presidential office in Seoul is known to be closely watching the situation. At around 5 a.m. this morning, President Park Geun-hye's spokesperson Min Kyung-wook read from a statement prepared by the two Koreas saying the high-level meeting, which began more than 10 hours earlier, had been adjourned. The spokesperson said Seoul and Pyongyang discussed a wide range of issues during the meeting to improve and develop inter-Korean relations, including ways to diffuse tensions escalated by the recent exchange of artillery fire between the two Koreas. Daniel?
Right, the ongoing tensions following a recent exchange of artillery fire between the two Koreas that's likely dominated the talks. You-sun, what are the key differences that the two sides just can't seem to agree on?
Well, Daniel, for starters, Seoul wants Pyongyang to apologize for the recent landmine blast in the demilitarized zone, which seriously injured two South Korean soldiers. Seoul is also seeking Pyongyang's apology for the latest artillery fire, which triggered an escalation of tensions, as well as a promise of preventive measures. North Korea denies responsibility for both incidents and wants the South to stop its anti-Pyongyang propaganda broadcast, which resumed after the recent landmine attack. The two sides may exchange views on non-military issues, such as resuming reunions of families separated by the Korean War. It's likely North Korea will urge the South to stop its annual military exercises with the U.S., which it considers war games, and seek ways to resume inter-Korean tourism and other economic projects that were suspended after a series of Pyongyang's provocations. It's difficult to predict whether the meeting of the two sides will bring about a substantial outcome. However, it's worth noting that they came to the negotiating table amid tensions, and rather than walking out of the meeting, agreed to adjourn and meet again to narrow their differences. Well, that's all I have for now. This has been Choi You-sun reporting from South Korea's presidential office.
Well, thank you very much for that report, You-sun. Moving on. Now, despite the high-level talks between the two Koreas at the truce village of Panmunjom, the South Korean military continues to be on high alert in case of any provocations from the north. Let's connect to our Connie Kim at the Ministry of National Defense in Seoul for the details. Connie, are there any signs of military tensions easing on the border right now?
Well, Daniel, unfortunately, no. Military tensions at the inter-Korean border continue to be at its highest level, although the high-level inter-Korean talks are taking place right now. Now, Seoul's defense ministry says the number of North Korean soldiers ready for combat in the front lines has doubled compared to before the high-level talks took place. Now, in addition, 50 North Korean submarines, about 70% of its fleet, have left port and remain undetected by South Korea's radar system. Seoul's defense ministry says the rate of North Korean submarines vanishing from radar is the highest since the Korean War broke out, and may be an attempt to gain the upper hand during the high-level talks or preparation for another provocation. Now, earlier reports say that military officials in Seoul are fully aware of North Korea's combat readiness. Officials say heavy-duty artillery deployed inside the demilitarized zone on Saturday shows that Pyongyang is ready to fire at any time.
Connie, the South Korean military says it is preparing for any possible provocations from North Korea. Perhaps could you give us some specifics?
Well, Daniel, South Korea continues to remain at its high alert, especially with its loudspeaker propaganda campaign continuing at all of its 11 loudspeakers. Now, South Korea has immediately deployed multiple rocket launcher and destroyers to further strengthen combat readiness. Now, 6 South Korean F-16 fighter jets originally deployed to take part in exercises in Alaska returned home Sunday ahead of schedule. South Korean and the U.S. military remain on the second highest level of their 5-level WatchCon threat alert system. Now, WatchCon Level 2 is issued in the case of imminent threat from the north. The Allies are utilizing their full arsenal of reconnaissance satellites, planes, and other military assets. Military officials remain vigilant of any unusual movements from North Korea, as Pyongyang has a history of launching surprise attacks after agreeing to dialogue. This has been Connie Kim reporting live from South Korea's Defense Ministry.
Thanks for that report, Connie. We now turn over to South Korea's Unification Ministry, where our correspondent Hwang Sung-hee is standing by. Sung-hee, do we have any details about the high-level talks from the Unification Ministry?
Unfortunately, no, Daniel. The high-level talks, just like yesterday, is being convened strictly behind closed doors and is not open to the media. But the Unification Ministry earlier notified the reporters this evening that the Vice Unification Minister will be attending a meeting tomorrow morning that was initially scheduled for Unification Minister Yong-pyo, who, of course, is currently attending the high-level talks. So this sudden change in schedule is raising speculation that it will be another long night for the South and North Korean delegations. Meanwhile, it is business as usual for the workers at the Inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex. The ministry confirmed that 843 South Koreans will commute to the factory park tomorrow, and more than 500 workers will be returning home.
That's good to know. But it seems the world is keenly watching whether the two Koreas will be able to ease tensions anytime soon. We hear one of the voices of concern is UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon himself.
That's right. The UN chief released a statement on Saturday local time welcoming the high-level talks and encouraging the two Koreas to really use this opportunity to pave the way to de-escalate tensions on the Korean peninsula. And like you said, foreign press are also closely following the marathon talks. The Washington Post reported that the resumption of talks for a second day have temporarily eased concerns about tensions on the peninsula. The Associated Press saying it's still uncertain whether the two Koreas will be able to diplomatically resolve tensions, which the report viewed as being the highest in recent years. Now, some Japanese media expressed skepticism about Pyongyang's intentions, referring to speculation that the regime will fire a long-range rocket in October. Experts in South Korea are more optimistic about Seoul's and Pyongyang's efforts. Those that I've talked to say that the Koreas will at least reach an agreement to defuse military tensions, with some even speculating that joint efforts will be made by the two sides to maintain this unusual momentum and facilitate an inter-Korean summit. This has been Hwang Sang-hee reporting live from the Unification Ministry in Seoul.
Well, thank you for those encouraging updates, Sung-hee. North Korea has threatened to wage an all-out war while at the same time reached out to the South for talks. That's how North Korea is contradictory and, of course, unpredictable in its predictable ways. Kim Yang-bin helps us dig deeper into Pyongyang's approach to dealing with inter-Korean tensions.
Pyongyang's proposal for talks was unexpected, especially in the wake of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un's order to prepare for all-out war.
Our Supreme Commander has issued a quasi-state of war for our troops on the front lines.
Soon after the announcement, Pyongyang proposed high-level talks with Seoul. The following day, the two countries' security heads met for several rounds of talks, very different from Pyongyang's behavior in the past. Some experts say that North Korea has been overwhelmed by the South's counteractions. After the mine blast, masterminded by the communist regime, South Korea resumed its anti-Pyongyang broadcast for the first time in 11 years, which experts say the North fears most. North Korea then fired off heavy artillery shells across the border, targeting anti-Pyongyang propaganda loudspeakers set up by the South, which Seoul countered with over 3 times the force. Experts say the strong counteraction taken by Seoul has been the impetus for the recent behavioral changes of North Korea.
군은 북한의 추가 도발에 대해서 한치의 빈틈도 없는 즉각 대응 태세를 유지하기를 바라고 또 상황이 발생했을 때는 선 조치 후 보고하기를 바랍니다.
Experts also say that North Korea is hesitant to act because of the annual Korea-U.S. joint exercises, WG Freedom Guardian, currently taking place. Kim Yang-gon, Arirang News.
Evacuated residents living near the border welcomed the two Koreas' decision to hold high-level talks. The head of a village in Yeoncheon County said the residents there hope to return to their daily lives and are waiting to hear news of a breakthrough in Sunday's meeting. Around 300 residents living in Yeoncheon, Paju, and Gimpo County in Gyeonggi-do Province were evacuated to an emergency shelter Saturday as North Korea's ultimatum to halt the anti-Pyongyang broadcast by Saturday 5 p.m. was nearing. All fishing operations have been suspended for 3 consecutive days along South Korea's 5 westernmost islands near the border. The Public Safety Ministry said on Sunday that over 230 fishing vessels remain docked to ensure the safety of fishermen in case of provocations from the north amid rising tensions on the peninsula after the two Koreas exchanged artillery fire on Thursday. Meanwhile, North Korean media has been busy spreading its own warped version of South Korea's reaction to the inter-Korean tensions that the South is gripped by fear at the prospect of a war breaking out. Pyongyang's propaganda website Uriminzokkiri reported the South's soldiers are abandoning their barracks while young men are making efforts to evade conscription. It went on to say that South Koreans are stocking food supplies and that some are even leaving the country, causing plane ticket prices to surge. The communist state also claimed that some 1 million of its youths have signed a petition to join the army amid heightened tensions on the Korean peninsula. Contrary to these reports, the fact of the matter is South Korea remains calm. And these are the stories we're following at this hour. Thank you for watching. Do stay with us for our later newscast and updates in North Korea, South Korea, and the ongoing tensions.